This is the Rebel Author Podcast, where we talk about books, business, and occasionally bad words. Hello, Rebels, and welcome to episode 279 of the Rebel Author Podcast. Today, I'm talking to Heather Farris all about how to use Pinterest and whether or not Pinterest is still a good platform for your business. First, to a comment on Jennifer's episode, Matt said, "This was another hugely valuable interview. As I aim to write more intentionally and with tropes in mind, this information was excellent and so clearly explained." Thank you. Little interesting point. My friend Ines Johnson, who you may well have heard of because she is on the speaker circuit at a lot of the US conferences, is running a Kickstarter for her page turner pacing. I have backed because I love the way that she teaches. This one is all about how to write a binge-worthy novel. So if you are interested in backing and pledging, I'm going to leave a link in that. I just absolutely love the way that she works and the way that she teaches. She's so fun and bright. And yeah, basically, even if you don't back it, go check it out. Personal news and updates. It is Thursday, the 23rd of January as I record this. So I am a day later than normal because this week was Kickstarter Fulfillment Week. So I spent Tuesday signing 1,200 books. It took me 5 hours. I think I had 2 sort of 5-minute breaks and then just signed back to back to back. Now, everybody said my wrists would hurt at the end of the day, and they didn't. I was completely fine. I had no wrist pain at all. What I did have was shoulder pain. My shoulders were in absolute pieces by the end of the day. And similarly, on the Wednesday, we then had a team of 7 packing well in excess of 300 parcels. And my back was in pieces. So that is a lesson to me about maybe doing standing signing and signing on a standing desk rather than sat down, sort of hunched over, but also likewise looking at standing desks for packing as well. So yes, the Kickstarter is now more or less complete. We were missing, I think, 4 items. I'd just sort of miscounted on the art packs and things like that. So I need to make those up and take those down today. We did learn a very difficult lesson about batteries. So obviously there were adult toys in some of the boxes, and there are very stringent shipping rules, especially internationally, that's hard for me to say apparently this morning, on batteries. So that was quite difficult. It looked like we were going to have to pay quite a significant surcharge, which would have dented the profit. However, thankfully, one of the chaps at Book Vault did a course, and I don't quite know the ins and outs of it, but in the end, we just had to have different labels, and the shipping company relented and did the shipping for us. Now, what we have done, we had, I think it was 43 boxes with batteries in, and we have just sent 1. We're making sure that one goes, and then that should be delivered in the next couple of days. And then if that's delivered safely, we will then ship the rest. So pretty much all bar, so I'm guessing it's about 280 parcels or something that will go this week, and then next week the last 40 or so should be shipped, and then we are done and on to the next Kickstarter, which I am super excited about. We are in the final throes of the sort of prep on the back end. We've had all of the stunning photographs. So Kate Hennessy does the photos for me for Kickstarter, and they are absolutely deliciously gorgeous. I can't believe how amazing she's made them look. And we are in the throes of just finalising what toys and goodies are going to be in the merch boxes. And then I think we have like 5 weeks to go, and we have some lofty goals for this one. I'm really excited. We have already beaten the pre-launch follower count. So on pre-launch for the last campaign, we had 718 followers, and we are on 778. So I'm sort of tentatively putting it out there that I would love to break 1,000 followers before launch. Who knows if we are able to do that? I mean, it's so far beyond anything that I could hope for, but I'm going to hope nonetheless. So we're working pretty hard on the pre-launch marketing to try and hit that 1,000 follower count. I will leave a link in the show notes if you would like to check that out. So I have to say that everything else has been very slow progress. I have now signed a lease, so we are moving into our own fulfillment and distribution. It's going to take probably a month, I think, to get that up and running. And I launched TikTok Shop and very rapidly realised that I needed processes and systems in place, because otherwise I'm going to have no time. Some of that was because I was having to learn how to do packing video content, and I very quickly realised that the packing content, video content that I have done is not good enough at the moment. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm still selling orders on TikTok Shop, but there are certain videos that I really like to watch, and because I don't have the unit set up and everything is cramped in my office, and I don't, have the pretty drawers and the pretty this and everything on the shelves and like a display bookcase where I can pull the books off, it's just not working. And so much of TikTok Shop and, that kind of content marketing is about the aesthetic of packing videos. So I'm really, really chomping at the bit now to get into the unit, but also acutely aware that learning things takes time, and it has absolutely drained my capacity for creativity. I knew that was coming. I knew it was going to be like that. It's going to be like that probably for another month, I would say, until everything is set up and we've got the orders in, and we've got like a system and process for packing. And the very next big task is finding somebody that wants to do the packing and earn, and for me to pay them to do the packing, because I cannot. Like, I've been very clear from the start, I'm willing to do it for a couple of weeks, an absolute maximum of 4, but that is it. I am not doing it after that. So I'm really hoping that the universe is going to deliver to me somebody who wants to earn some money doing some packing. So that is kind of where I am at. We are also looking at other things that we're going to bring online on the website, and potentially other revenue streams. We're thinking about starting up something else, which I don't really want to talk about right now. But yeah, anyway, I don't know. I need to go back to the creativity, which is my plan. So today is the day after finishing all the Kickstarter stuff, and I'm absolutely broken. I'm not going to lie. Like, I laid on the sofa last night exhausted, and this morning I feel much the same. Like, I'm on go slow. However, I'm kind of giving myself today to empty my inbox and to deal with all of the admin that I have got on my plate. And then from tomorrow, I will be back to outlining. And then hopefully by about the middle of next week, I should be into writing words. I mean, sort of end of next week at the latest, I'm hoping I should be back to writing words. And then I'm going to do, apart from the the unit building, I want to sort of only be doing words for the next couple of months. So yeah. We shall see. This is my plan, and that is what is going on in my life right now. Okay, the Rebel of the Week this week is Richard. Richard says, I was in a job with little hope of promotion. The company was small and I'm no manager. To throw me a bone, they made me software librarian. It was a post with no real responsibilities and certainly no money attached to it. It did mean that I was theoretically responsible for buying and keeping track of software. In practice, piracy was rife. If someone wanted to use an application that someone else had, they just installed it without a second thought. Even if I had objected to this, there wasn't any support or funds to correct it. Then the sales manager was put in charge of the technical publications department. In order to prove that his entire empire had grown, he issued an edict. From now on, all documents submitted to the technical publications department were to be in WordPerfect format. I went to my friends in tech pubs and asked them if there was any reason for this requirement. They said no, they'd always accepted content in any number of formats, even ASC2, I think that says, text, and it was all the same to them. So I wrote a memo. This was before email. It pointed out that the company owned 3 copies of WordPerfect and detailed which of these copies had been installed by well over a dozen people. It included the phrase, "This is of course illegal," and it proceeded to list the prices of individual and site licenses for the copies of WordPerfect that we would have to buy in order to comply with the edict. I copied it to my line manager concerned. My line manager and the company owner. I never heard anything more about it, but I definitely didn't get promoted again either. Exposing directors to charges of willfully breaching copyright is something of a career-limiting move, but it felt so, so good. Well, I really hope that I pronounced all of the words correctly, because there were lots of things I'd not heard of in there, including word perfect. But what a lovely rebellion. It did make me laugh that you didn't end up being promoted. Well, not laugh. It made me feel bad that you didn't end up being promoted, but also the cheekiness behind it made me laugh. So thank you. If you would like to be a Rebel of the Week, please do send in your story. It can be any kind of rebellion, something big, something small, or something in between. And we are, as always in need of Rebel stories. You can email your story to Becca over on rebelauthorpodcast@gmail.com. This week, let's get on with the episode. Hello and welcome to the Rebel Author Podcast. Today I'm joined by Heather Farris. Heather is a Pinterest marketing strategist and educator working with clients professionally for 8 years. In that time, she's helped bloggers, digital product sellers, coaches, and e-commerce brands to find a home on Pinterest. Hello and welcome.
Sasha, welcome. No, you're welcome.
You're welcome. It's lovely to meet you.
It's lovely to meet you too. I don't remember how we got connected. I think someone from the conference I'm going to.
Are you going to 20 Bucks Vegas? Not 20 Bucks Vegas, Author Nation. Sorry, Author Nation.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, so my ops director lady would have probably reached out to you, I would have thought, because I am going to Author Nation. I was at 20 Bucks Vegas last year, so that's why I got the name confused, but it's called Author Nation this year. So yeah, I will see you there.
I'm so excited. We're just learning this right now live.
We really are, right? We'll have to go for a coffee. Okay. Well, before we dive into the topic of Pinterest, tell me about you. Like, Pinterest, why? How? Like, who are you? How did you get here?
Well, there's not very many of us, I feel like. I got started on Pinterest as a mom, actually. It came out in 2010. My kid was born in 2010, and I could not cook my way out of a cardboard box. I don't know if you guys have like cardboard box meals.
Sorry, hold on. For listeners, your kid was born in 2010.
Yeah.
Okay, but you look like you're in your 20s. How is that physically possible? What?
I will be 35 in a couple of months.
Okay.
It's a surprise.
Okay, cool.
Maybe don't take your medication on this is a learning experience. I didn't know that you couldn't take like contraceptives on antibiotics. So here comes a child. Yeah, she was a surprise.
Oops. Okay, cool. Because I was like, how do you have a 14-year-old when your skin looks like that? For listeners, Heather's skin is immaculate.
It's the Zoom filter, Sasha. It's the Zoom filter. But Pinterest was born the same year my daughter was born. It's actually just a few months older than her. So that's how I know how old the platform is. And I started using it because I couldn't cook my way out of a cardboard box. That's the joke I tell people. And here in America, in the United States specifically, we have something called Hamburger Helper.
Okay.
It's a box it's a meal in a box, and you just have to add meat.
Okay, we have something similar here.
I could not prepare meals other than that at this time. And I was a new wife and a new mom, and it was making me so sick. So I asked in third person on Facebook, those weird third person status updates that you would make. Heather is sick from cooking these meals. Can someone help her out with recipes? And my sister-in-law texted me and she's like, you have to check out this platform called Pinterest. I've been finding all of my food on there lately. And I figured if she's feeding my brother meals from this platform, it must be good because he's very picky. So I went on there and it's just pure history. I've used it every single day since.
Okay, so I have a Pinterest account and I found Pinterest when I was pregnant in 2013. And I remember I got a chest infection. I don't, touch wood, I have managed through life quite well, not getting too many bugs or illnesses. So, but when I get put down, I get put down. And I was like in bed sick, which that just doesn't happen for me very often, touch wood. And I remember like being feverish and reading Twilight. Make of
Yes,
that what you will. I loved it back then. Like I knew nothing. So I mean I
I did
loved it.
too.
I loved it. I can't, everybody slates it and I'm like, well, I really enjoyed it. But I found Pinterest at the same time when I was in bed, like feverish, and I got obsessed. And for whatever reason, I was featured on a page. I don't know what happened, but I woke up the next day with 5,000 emails because at that point, everybody who followed you, like you
You
got
got
an
an
email
email.
because I didn't know how to turn it off. And then the following day, I woke up with another 5,000 emails. And like it was wild. Like I just blew up and I had no fucking idea how to use the platform. So I never did anything with it. But like it was such a, now I'm like cursing myself because it was such a wasted opportunity. I could have made so much out of it. But yeah, that was like my little intro to Pinterest. What I am is a very visual person. So I used to spend, I don't do it anymore because things like Midjourney exist, but I used to spend hours and hours and hours searching for the right
Mhm.
image for my books and stuff. Can you tell people a little bit about the history of Pinterest, what it is? Like, is it still relevant today?
No, the short answer is yes, it's still relevant. The history of where we have come from really started in 2010 with this pinboard, digital pinboard idea. The creators of the platform, it was two men, decided to create this platform where you could basically make vision boards, with the pegs and the whatever that fucking material is. You know what I'm talking about?
Corkboard.
This,
Like, yeah, corkboard.
yes,
Yeah.
but do it digitally. And they wanted a way to do that. So they created Pinterest. And it started out, I don't think they ever actually envisioned the majority of the platform would be dominated by women, much less people that are so, gung ho for fashion and beauty and food and lifestyle content and everything in between. So it really did start as like this visual pin board, but digitally, and then it grew into something so much more. Within the first year of it being online, they had actually put a search bar on it and categories in the right-hand drop-down column. They noticed people were only using the search bar to search for things, and they had to then design their first guided search algorithm. So they did that in 2011 to 2012, and it's really only grown from there. So actually, my co-host and I just did a YouTube live on this morning in relation to monetizing. But from 2010 to about 2013, it was really just a place for a lot of bloggers to go and share all of their blogs. A lot
Yeah.
of the OG bloggers that we now see in Target and Walmart and their authors, and they have Food Network channels or Food Network shows on that channel. They started out on Pinterest as small bloggers, and they have multi-million-dollar media empires now. So that was kind of 2010 to 2013. And then 2014, they started introducing ads. The advertising platform came online, but it was very haphazard, really until 2019. And that's when we started seeing e-commerce come on the platform. So we started seeing more people actually were buying directly from pins. They'd noticed it prior to that, but then they introduced tools for e-commerce to come on the platform and share their products.
So can you like connect pins to a Shopify account?
Yeah.
Oh, oh,
I have a
oh.
lot of authors in my program actually that are selling books on their own Shopify store, as well as obviously book selling platforms, like Amazon and bookshop.org and Barnes and Noble, all of those. But they are also selling on their own store. And one way to do that effectively on Pinterest is to have a Shopify store and then become a verified merchant.
Interesting. So what is Pinterest today? Like, what is the platform? How could authors use the platform today?
So I was on a call recently with a group of creators, and an employee from Pinterest actually built the platform in three ways: search, inspiration, and social. It's kind of a mix of all. Social is a less of a concern for me and your listeners because we have social channels where we can actually communicate effectively. Pinterest is not one of those platforms that I see people being social. It's very much a place where I can go and I can pin things, whether in secret or in public. And they are things that I can then take offline and go do. So that's one of the big missions of Pinterest is to connect people with ideas and inspiration that they can actually put their phone away and take some time away and go and enjoy their lives. So Pinterest being primarily a search engine first, and then just a place where people can go and shop and get inspired second.
Okay, cool. So talk to me about like the structure of a good pin. Like let's say you've got an author and they want to or I'll tell you what, let's just use me because that
Yeah.
it will be easy because I can give examples. So a lesbian fantasy romance author, how
Mhm.
would I put pins on there? What kind of stuff do I need? What do I need to know? What kind of content? What kind of words? What kind of imagery? How do I create a pin? And how do I kind of link that to my website or whatever to direct people to different places?
That's a great question. So I actually have a board on my profile called Pinterest for Authors, Pinterest Marketing for Authors. And selfishly, I created this because of the conference we're going to be at.
Oh, cool.
I wanted to give people examples, real life examples. So, for example, someone, let's say it's you. You create a Pinterest pin and you have a search term that you want to rank for. So, let's say it's small town lesbian romance. That's
Fantasy,
your search
dark
term.
fantasy, very spicy romance. That's what
Very
I'm
spicy.
definitely not small town, definitely not sweet.
You find that term. You find that search term that you want to rank for, and you put it on your Pinterest pin, and you put a book cover on there along with it. Or you can use, if you have photos that you've used for book covers or for marketing for that particular book that you want to use in place of a book cover, you could do that too. And you then link that to your website. But there's a couple of other things that you need to do. We all know when we create Instagram posts, we have to write caption. So you have to write a caption. It's called a description on Pinterest. And you want to also write a pin title. Now, that spicy keyword that you found that matches your book, that's going to connect the reader with what they're searching for with that pin on Pinterest, you're going to use that main keyword in your pin title and your pin description. And you can use it on the image itself. I'm looking at some pins right now. So a lot of them are like roundups. They're like the best Emily Henry books ranked. I pinned some things like this because they were really good pins. But there's also a Pinterest pin on here that you can make, Sasha, that is an image of the book and then all of the different little things about the book.
Like the
So
tropes.
the tropes, those are keywords themselves. Any other themes, like this one says opposites attract, friends to lovers, forced proximity, fake dating, socially awkward librarian.
Does Pinterest catalog words embedded in an image then?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Cool. So those tropes will count then.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I think a lot of authors at the moment think that Pinterest is just for like craft and recipe and mum bloggers or whatever.
Yeah.
And given the rise of TikTok,
Mhm.
do we think that Pinterest can still work for authors? I mean, obviously you've created this board, so you think that there is the potential there. What are they missing?
They, so a big thing that authors are missing is the fact that they only want to write for their books. But there's so much more that you could write, whether it's on your website or landing pages that you could create on your website. There's so much more marketing to be done where you're not just reliant upon your marketing team that you were either assigned or had to hire for book launch. Those people are not familiar with a search platform like Pinterest. It's never on their radar, but it's an opportunity for you to break into a new audience. And you can do that either through book lists, you can write yourself, you can gather testimonials of your own books and put those in blog posts. You can put together side stories or things like that that you maybe cut from the book into blog posts and generate interest through those and bring them back to the book. But there's so many more things that you could do in your marketing that you can showcase on Pinterest, but you can also just simply showcase your product listings either in your store or in third-party stores where the book is being sold. There's
Uh,
also this whole other world. You mentioned TikTok. Book Talk creates content constantly for authors, reaching out to anyone that creates really favorable reviews of your books and getting permission to share those videos on your
you
own
can
account.
post videos to Pinterest.
Yes.
So I could repurpose my TikTok videos.
Yes.
Huh, that's interesting. Because I
Yes.
already repurposed them to Instagram. So how would that work then? You would just repost it all the same way, put the
So
caption and then link to.
I actually have a really good piece of news for you if you're already repurposing them from TikTok to Instagram. Pinterest just released a feature where you can pull your Instagram content to Pinterest. It will mute the audio, it removes the watermark, and it allows you to edit the content within. So the description and the title that come over and the link. So let's say you have a really kick-ass reel that is pointing people to your book to buy it at whatever retailer and your store. It lands on Pinterest. You can then open that up, edit it, add a title, add a description, change the link from Instagram to your website, and now you have, 90% of the work is done by Pinterest with the connection. You've done 10% of the important work, which is adding your keywords and the link to your store. And now you're directing people to your website instead of back to Instagram, and you've just repurposed a piece of content.
What about the audio though? Because most of us who are creating content on TikTok and or Instagram, the audio is critical to the
The
comprehension of the
vibe.
video. Yeah.
So if it's copyrighted audio on Instagram, chances are Pinterest does not have the authority to share that copyrighted music on Pinterest, so they mute it. But a lot of people are not listening to audio on Pinterest anyways. It's automatically muted. They have to turn the audio on.
Okay. So can you add audio inside Pinterest?
You would not want to use the connection in this purpose if you want to add audio. You would want to download it to your phone. So whatever editing, let's say you use CapCut or whatever final version you're uploading to TikTok, just upload it directly to Pinterest and change the audio right in the app.
Okay, so you can change audio inside the Pinterest app.
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, that's really interesting. I had no idea. Maybe I'll have to try and log into my long lost account with my 15,000 followers or whatever it was. What kind of content actually performs best on Pinterest? So obviously we've talked a little bit about reels and things, and I do feel like video marketing is huge right now. Is that the case on Pinterest when it was such a kind of static visual platform, or what works now for there?
Yeah, there's a huge demand for all forms of content on Pinterest, from images to video and even collages, which are new to the platform. They're not new, but they're new to Pinterest. They just released a few years ago this app called Shuffles. Now they've married it into the main app where you can create these really nifty collages. And Gen Z is all about the collages. They're actually the highest percentage of users creating the collages and consuming the collages. So if you do have a big Gen Z or YA audience, then
Not me, but other
not
people.
not Sasha, but
I
other
am
authors listening
fully
probably
adult.
do.
Yes, probably a huge portion of listeners, but young adults don't read my books. Please don't
Yeah,
read my books.
so I think all forms of content truly are great on Pinterest because it is a search engine and you can pair it with search terms. So whether someone is looking for you for spicy, homosexual love stories or whatever it is, like that is a search term that you can pair with whatever form of content you have.
Um, oh, it's just popped out of my brain. I was going to ask you a question. Oh yeah, that was it. Okay. So on TikTok, there is
Uh-huh.
a method to the madness,
Yep.
which is consistency.
Yep.
Consistency is the biggest key to TikTok posting, usually 3 times a day. What is the key to Pinterest and making Pinterest work?
The key is still consistency. And the difference is that being search first platform, you're not hoping that the algorithm is just going to land with some sort of trending audio that like everyone is creating for right now. And that's what they're prioritizing. You are using search terms that people are looking for, Pinterest trends that people are engaging in with your content. So it's also a behind the scenes platform. You don't have to get yourself made up. You don't have to put on a cute outfit and clean up the background because you have to film. I just refuse to do that in my life, so I don't do a lot of video myself. I do YouTube, but I can station like the camera in a way that I don't have to clean anything else up. Um, but my ADHD just lost me.
You're right.
Oh,
So
consistency.
consistency is key. Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
my
going to
brain
answer
has.
your question.
Okay.
Let me answer your question. So,
Okay.
posting, how many times a day should you
Yeah.
post? I tell people a minimum of once, but if you can pin more than once a day, let's say you can pin 3 to 5 times a day, you're going to see a greater growth curve faster. Now, being a background platform, being a platform that you can literally turn on your favorite audiobook or Hamilton or whatever you want to watch on your iPad over here and just be creating pins over here and then repurposing content from other platforms. You're not having to be live. You don't have, there's no live component. There's no, I got to get my makeup and hair done component where I have to film in order to create content for Pinterest. It's very much like a background processing in the back of your business. So sit down for an hour a month and create a batch of Pinterest pins. If you can crank out 90, fantastic, probably not in an hour. If you can create 30, that's also great.
Okay. What about search terms? So you've mentioned search terms and the fact that
Yeah.
it is a search platform. I used to be a blog manager, and
Yeah.
one of the things that I was shockingly shit at was SEO. I just don't get it. For whatever, there's actually an on-running joke between me and my wife. I once spent an hour searching for something on Google and I could not find it. And she came in, and within 3.5 seconds, and her first search came up with it, and I was livid. And but for whatever reason, I'm terrible. I just don't type in searches that other people like, and I don't know what it is. I must be missing a logic button or something. How do you find out what people are
Mhm.
searching? How would I figure that out?
Yep. So the very first tool I would send you to actually tells you what people are searching for, and it's the trends tool. So it's trends.pinterest.com. I will literally go there as we're talking and just walk the audience through it. So there are 24 categories within the category filter, and there's also a search bar. And then there's 4 trend filters. So there's like growing, seasonal, you get the gist. So you can go into the interests and you can search by specific interests or you can just search by keywords. So let's say we want to
Lesbian
search for
romance.
lesbian romance. Then you like search for that, clear your filters, and see what comes up. I'm not seeing anything for lesbian romance, but I think I spelled lesbian wrong.
Well, that either means people aren't doing it or it's an opportunity, one or the other. People either aren't searching for it or they're searching for it and there's no content. Either way, it
Yeah,
seems like an opportunity.
I think it is an opportunity. So then we can also search for those other tropes or things like that. Now, the trends tool, I should give you this warning. It doesn't have everything in it that people are searching for on the platform. So if you don't find a trend, it's because it's not a trend right now or throughout the year. But that doesn't mean it's not a search term on Pinterest. There's 2 other ways to find keywords. The second way is the ads manager. So you could go into the ads manager, create a fake ad, use the tool. Now, if you're in Italy and you're listening to this, you don't have this. You need a VPN to log in through the US, and then you'll have the ads manager search tool. Um, the third final way is the search bar on Pinterest. You just go to the search bar and you search for your thing. So let's just go search for lesbian romance in the search bar, and then it'll come up. Um, it's going to come up because that's a big topic of books. Yeah, look, lesbian romance books, spicy, aesthetic, novels. And then
Excellent.
there's lots of images of people making out. We want to search for lesbian romance books for the books. And there they are. An
Okay, cool.
entire just page filled with product pins, with book pins, with testimonial pins, with blog pins, with video pins, like you name it, they're there.
Okay, cool. All right. I am, you have convinced me to go and try and find my password to Pinterest and try and log in.
Just go
Yeah.
search around.
Yeah, I will. I will. I'll have to probably do that. I've forgotten my password.
Well, here's the thing that you should know about Sasha too, is Pinterest is a place that prioritizes groups of, smaller groups. So they're big into providing space and exposure to BIPOC communities, LGBTQIA communities, um, our Native American communities here in the US. We were just talking about this, Jan and I, on the Inclusion Fund. So they're really big on supporting smaller and diverse communities. So you
Good
should definitely get
opportunity.
yourself on there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Do I create a new account or like can I resurrect the old one?
If you can resurrect the old one, they do get rid of accounts that haven't been logged into in a long time. So I'm
Ooh,
wondering if maybe they've burned yours to the ground.
wow. Okay, I'll have to go and investigate. I'll let you know when I get to Vegas whether or not I got
Okay.
into the account.
If you can't, then yeah, you can just create a new one. Now, to answer that question for your listeners, if you are wondering if you should just switch your personal account to a business account or just create a new business account, I almost just would rather you create a new account because you get a fresh start. And
Mm,
there's a lot less cleanup to do because a lot of people will pin a whole lot of shit that will make no sense to your business.
yeah, maybe I should just create a new one because there's going to be a lot of shit on there. Um, how might an author plan content for a launch?
For launch, great question. I'm actually working with an author. We will be launching his book on Pinterest next year. He's in the sports psychology space though, so it's quite boring. Um,
You're not
what we're
supposed to say
doing,
that.
what we're doing is, I've told him though, he knows. He won't be listening to this particular podcast. What we're doing for him is he's actually writing blog posts in advance that are related to the book that are going to go with book launch because that's what he's hashed out with his um, whatever that term is called that just escaped my mind, publisher. That's what he's worked out with his publisher for as part of his marketing plan is he's writing blog posts that are going to answer questions that will naturally lead people to his book because he's in a space that is probably not going to sell hundreds of thousands of books and land on the New York Times bestseller list. Like they are okay with that plan for him. So then what we're doing for Pinterest is we are pinning all of those blog posts. The blog posts have book like coming soon images in them, like get on the wait list situation. And then as book launch gets closer, we'll have a book landing page. It's not ready yet with retailers on it where you can quickly choose your retailer and add to cart. As we get closer to time and we have a book launch page, we will start creating Pinterest pins for the book launch page. And all of this comes back to search terms because he is such a prolific blogger already. People are searching for his topics that are going to be related to his books. So then we can take those Google search terms and use them on Pinterest as well. So that's the book launch plan for him. Now, if it's like a romance author,
I was
take your
going to
social
say,
media.
like, nonfiction. I feel like
Yeah.
that's a really good strategy for nonfiction authors. So I do write nonfiction as well,
Yep.
although I'm slowing that in the moment because the fiction's doing so well. But that is definitely a strategy I used to use
Yeah.
with nonfiction.
Now, for fiction, and let's say it's just the romance space, you have a marketing plan for social. I would identify how you could turn that into a search-based strategy. So, what would people be looking for to find your books on a search-based platform? And then repurpose some of that social content to Pinterest, creating your image pins as well as repurposing those videos. If you can get any sort of UGC around the book pre-launch,
What's a
UGC,
UGC?
user-generated content, if you
Okay.
can get any sort of like get into book talk and have them do reviews of your video of your book, obviously only use it if it's positive. Using any of that content actually does really well on Pinterest too. So how can you flip your social content to be search content and then utilize that on Pinterest to drive traffic to your landing pages.
Have you? Okay, so that was really interesting. You said don't only use it if it's positive. I used a 1-star review
Oh,
and
really?
blew up my sales
That's
because, yeah,
fucking fantastic.
yeah. So I just wondered whether or not like that's a thing that's like would work on Pinterest as well. So like basically the review said 1-star, basically porn. And so I was like, that is the best review I have ever had in my entire life. And the funny thing is, the readers who had read the book came flooding in their droves to defend me and be like, but it's so much more. The plot is amazing, like blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, guys, I love you so much. Thank you so much. But also, yeah, there's a lot of smut in there, like I'm not gonna lie. And so that converted like crazy. And a ton of people brought it because they wanted to read basically porn.
Mhm.
So I don't know, like, is that marketing counterintuitive or like would that work on Pinterest?
So one thing you do have to be aware of on Pinterest is they don't allow porn or
Yeah.
the word
Uh,
porn.
I put corn, I spelt it
Okay.
corn because it's exactly the same on TikTok. You absolutely cannot.
No. No nudity either. And they sometimes get a little pissy about bare men's chest, which why? I don't know. But that would be like I would just make sure to like blur out any of those sorts of terms because they do index the words on the images. I love that you turned a 1-star review into a massive amount of sales and like good marketing for yourself. I think it, I think that might work on Pinterest as well if you can spin it. So I think where I was coming from, if only use the good stuff, is if you do hire someone to read your book or you do pay for a creator to read
Mm.
your book and they give you a shit review. I don't necessarily know that I would be prioritizing that particular piece of content for my Pinterest account. It is a very positive place. People really love positivity. Pinterest is trying to make it a positive place too. So I might just limit that to my social accounts in that case.
One of the other things that authors, especially indie authors, find to be like one of, I guess, like the pillars of their customer funnel is their mailing list. Is there a
Yes.
way to work with Pinterest to like, not just get people onto your mailing list, but get the right people onto your mailing list?
Yeah, so obviously it depends on how you're getting people on your mailing list. Do the authors in your sphere have like lead magnets?
Yes.
Okay, using your lead magnet then and the right keywords with the right imagery for the lead magnet. I grow my email list every single day through Pinterest. Organically, I'm getting 1 or 2 new subscribers from my little tiny Pinterest business account. It's such a niche of a niche of a niche, which is why I get so few. Like you have to be in business, you have to know Pinterest is a place for marketing and you're ready for it. So I don't get a lot of action from Pinterest myself. I do for my travel blog and for all my clients. I just like to be transparent. But you can absolutely use your mailing list, create Pinterest pins for your mailing list. I create pins for all my opt-ins, all my paid products, and all my free content. And the email list is super important for me because I know if I get people on there, they will convert.
Mm.
So, yes, make pins for your mailing list. Use the right keywords for it, for whatever that is. There's quite a lot of pins on there that are like book tracking lists and like book trackers or like Notion tracking templates for people who love to read. And people are giving those things away for free, and people are actually searching for that on the platform. That I also might be an opportunity for you to look and see what's trending, look and see what people are searching for, and even create a potentially new offer for free just for Pinterest too and test it out.
Have I asked you about mistakes and what mistakes you see
Mistakes.
people making?
Yeah, no, but let's talk about it. Number one is not using keywords. Number two is just spamming the platform with just your book covers. No one knows anything about your book, generally speaking, when they just see your book cover. So we have to give them context. You do that by using those keywords that you're going to find related to your book. And you use keywords in your title, on the pin if you are writing a text overlay, and in the description. Another mistake I see authors specifically making is using their pin name on everything. Again, Pinterest is a cold platform. People don't know you yet. They don't give a shit about you. They want to read your books, but they have to find it through a channel or a search term that they are searching for. Like you're really bad at Google search, but your wife is really great at it. Your wife would probably find what she wants to read in 2.5 searches, whereas it might take you some browsing and clicking around on pins to get served the right thing.
Mm.
So be thinking about that kind of user journey of how people are engaging with pins on Pinterest. They're not just served pins through search, but also through engagement. So making sure first and foremost that your pins are optimized for search and for the right categories, that will then lead to those engagements happening from other people just engaging with your pins and getting served your pins and related. Um, some other mistakes I see people making is using really low quality imagery. I don't know why authors tend to do this with their book covers, but it's like the tiniest file. And when it's put into a Pinterest size pin, it's like zoomed in, cut off, and it's really grainy. You want to use high quality images. Someone that's coming to the conference, actually, she was involved in getting me to speak at the conference, Author Nation, in November. Was just recently taken off the verified merchant program because of the grainy image issue. We got it corrected very quickly, but it's something that you should be aware of.
Okay, that's interesting. So are there particular sizes and dimensions? Because I remember when I used to
Yep.
use the platform, they also had these like ridiculously long, thin
Infographic
thing. Yeah, oh
style.
my God, they would go on for like 4 days. Like
No,
they
don't
don't
use
do that.
infographic style. Infographics are actually great to create on Pinterest, but use Pinterest friendly sizes. So the TikTok Instagram size is perfect.
Okay.
1080 by
Okay.
1920 or whatever that size is. The other size is 1,000 by 1,500 and then a one-to-one, so like 1,000 by 1,000
Square.
square.
Oh, interesting. All right. So we're sort of coming towards the end. I wondered if you see authors doing anything quirky. Do you like see what are they doing between launches? Because obviously it takes us a while to write a
Yeah.
book. So like how can we use Pinterest to keep kind of reader interest, like give them I don't know, like, are there any cool things that you see people doing that, maybe is a way to engage readers between launches?
So writers often read a lot of books. Share with your audiences the books that you like to read because your readers want to know what you're reading too. It's this world of influencing. Everyone wants to know what's going on. Help people to create book nooks and beautiful bookshelves, like what's behind you. Like help them with bringing their reading outside of the page, I think is a super interesting way to engage readers beyond just the words on your page. If you can, there's an author here in the US that writes a daily blog. It's not great for Pinterest, but if there is any sort of blogging that you can do about your book, about your industry, about your characters and side plots, or anything that you did cut from your book that you didn't want to share, like putting that back on your website for people to consume outside of the book. Anything that generates interest about the book or other books that you sell, um, is a super interesting way. And then you brought up lead magnets earlier, which a lot of authors I encounter these days don't actually have a lead magnet. Like they're
Oof.
coming to me without things like that in place. So getting a lead magnet and sharing those things. The social connection between Instagram and Pinterest these days is also a really great way to just create additional content without having to do more work. Even if you're not changing the link from Instagram to your own website and you're just sending people straight back to your Instagram, that's a-okay if you don't have the time for it right now to do, or you don't have the resources to send people elsewhere. Just send them back to Instagram to build that audience over there. But then people, if they go from Pinterest to Instagram, they will see your stories, they'll see your highlights, they'll see your feed posts. There's more opportunity for them to kind of come into your community because Pinterest is not like Instagram in that community aspect. They can connect with you that way as well. It doesn't necessarily always have to be a traffic driving or a sales driving platform either. It can be a platform for brand awareness if you wish it to be.
What's the one thing you wish your clients would do?
I wish they would have their own websites.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, really? Because it connects with Pinterest better, or?
Yes. Yes. I actually don't work with anyone anymore that doesn't have their own website, but I did for years. And just having your own website where you can drive traffic to, you can collect that, and then you can use it when you do pitch, you know, companies for writing books. I don't, publishing houses, is that what it's called? When you're doing book pitches or anything like that. Like if you have your own website, you have an audience built, that just further proves that you can sell books when it comes time to selling books. So if you have a website, like there's so much more you can do.
Well, this is the Rebel Author Podcast. So tell everyone about a time you unleashed your inner rebel.
Oh, Lord. I'm such a good girl, Sasha. I don't know.
You've definitely got a rebellion in there. I don't believe anybody doesn't have a
I know.
rebellion.
You know, I'm a bit sassy when it comes to people being mean on the internet, and that's probably where I unleash the rebel within me the most. Actually, just today on my live, someone was being really rude in the comments, and my co-host couldn't see it, but I will name and shame people who are
Oh,
mean.
I love it.
Yeah, I don't like to play around. This particular company's in China. They were being really rude. I put them in timeout, which I didn't know you could do on YouTube live chat. And then I hid them from the channel and reported them for bullying. And then I screenshotted before I closed the live and posted on Threads.
Fuck around and see,
I
baby.
know.
I love it. I absolutely.
So
That is so cool. I love it. I absolutely love it.
I just believe in holding people accountable these days. And one of these days, your children and your family are going to see the secret life that you lived on the internet and how atrocious you were. So if you're being mean to people on the internet, I think people should know.
No, I think it's
And if
I
I'm
think
mean to people on the internet, I hope someone holds me accountable.
yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. We should all be held accountable for our own actions. We're all grown-up adults at the end of the day. Well, would you like to tell everyone where they can find out more about you, your services, like anything you want to add?
To learn more about me, because I love your podcast host voice, it's just heatherfarris.com. HEATHERFARRIS.com. Everything is there from social channels to programs and services and free content. I am coming to that conference. I do have a video coming out, Pinterest for Authors, ahead of the conference. So I can send you the YouTube link when it's live. I don't know when this podcast episode will go live, but you can always include it in the show notes if you would like to.
Yeah, it will be
But
after, I would
yeah,
have thought. I'll double check the release date, but I would have thought it'd be after Author Nation. Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time today. And of
yeah, of
course,
course.
thank you. A giant thank you to all of my show's listeners and all of my show's patrons. If you would like to get early access to all of the episodes, you can do so by visiting patreon.com/Sasha Black. I'm Sasha Black. You are the list. I don't normally fuck that bit up. I'm Sasha Black. You are listening to Heather Farris, and this was the Rebel Author Podcast. I am joined by Rebecca Heyman, an absolutely incredible editor of romantasy from some of the top authors in the romantasy space. So join me next week for that.
Don't forget to tune in and subscribe on your podcatcher. And when you have a moment, please leave a review.